Hello, welcome to Side A, Side B. In our first video of this series, Side A, Side B claimed the Rubik's Cube could be solved with the Keyhole Method and solve the second layer edges. And there's two parts to that claim. Today we're going to be taking care of the claim that the Keyhole Method solves the second layer edges. In a previous video, the algorithm that orients the third layer corners can be named as the left-handed algorithm. And today we're going to explore a reversal of that, the right-handed algorithm. But the movement of the pieces in that algorithm really defines the name. We're going to rename that algorithm the left and right-handed belly flop. So let's get into it. Hope everyone's doing well. Currently, I have an unsolved Rubik's Cube, and I'm going to do the two corners and two edges with the Keyhole Method. And then we're going to get right into what I just said. So okay, we're going to take care of the first part of the claim. We said in a previous video that we're going to solve the second layer edges with the Keyhole Method. And by fluke, we almost did. But here, okay, so there you go. Here's our keyhole, and we just solved the second layer edge with the Keyhole Method, which is right here. And in another video, I'm going to explain what we did by manipulating the third layer pieces to get this edge in its correct spot and solved. So we're going to take care of, I'm going to explain, and we're going to do a study on what I just did in another video. If you noticed, we just mirrored the left and front sides, and then we manipulated the third layer edges. We turned them upwards so their color is matched with the center. They're not in their correct spots, but by doing that, it automatically solves the second layer edge. Actually, manipulating the third layer pieces is very good practice to solving the third layer edges. But if you're not comfortable in doing that, we can solve this edge piece by using the Keyhole Method, and very similar to our first video. To start, we take this edge piece out, like so. And to put this edge piece in its correct spot and solved, there are only two requirements we need to satisfy. The first requirement is this edge piece needs to match up with its opposite center, which is white. And the second requirement is that we have our keyhole. And since we've met those two requirements, we can execute and solving this edge piece, like so. And voila, the edge piece goes in with 3 moves, similar to our first video. And now you can follow along with the rest of the video. Now we're going to solve the first layer by using the right-handed and left-handed belly flop. Here's our piece. Here's our corner piece that goes into here. We don't want to, this time we don't want to move this edge piece. So we want to keep our keyhole here. So I'm going to maneuver the belly flop, and it's going to pivot around the movements that I'm going to do with the belly flop algorithm is going to pivot around our keyhole. If you recall, the left-handed belly flop, it affected these 3 pieces. This piece stayed where it is. It stays where it is. And these 3 pieces move in a clockwise direction. So these 3 pieces move in a clockwise direction. And this piece goes here, this piece goes here, and this piece does a diagonal and goes here. All right, so in one move, we can put our piece into its correct spot and it'll be solved. So today I want to do a deeper study on how the pieces move in the belly flop algorithm and how we can use the left and right-handed belly flop algorithm and pivot around the keyhole to solve the Rubik's Cube. All right. So what it does is, the reason why I call it a belly flop algorithm is we know that this piece, if I do the left-handed algorithm, we know that this piece goes here, goes to here. But what it does a belly flop. What it really does is it jumps up and then it lands as if it did a belly flop. So it kind of does this, okay? So it kind of jumps up and then it ends up doing a belly flop right here. So this actually stays where it is, but I'm just showing the general movement of this piece when I do the left-handed belly flop. So what it does, it jumps up and it ends up in this spot, but it does a belly flop. See that? So it starts here, its belly is here, and it moves and it ends up right here. So it kind of belly flops into its correct position. Okay, like for example, okay, so if it does that, so does this piece right here. This piece will jump up and do a belly flop into its correct spot, and it's going to be solved. Because this white piece, because if it does that, this orange piece, this orange stays where it is, and if it does a belly flop, it's gonna land on this side right here. It's going to land white facing up, blue facing in this direction. So this piece when we do the left-handed belly flop, this piece will jump over this piece and we'll go into this spot. It's going to jump in its correct spot and it's going to be solved. You see that? Okay, let's just do it. So this is the left-handed belly flop. And that's what it did. So the left-handed belly flop made this piece jump. It jumped over this piece and it belly flopped in its correct position and solved. So there you go. There's the first and second layer edges solved with the keyhole method. The keyhole method combined with the belly flop algorithm. Okay? But sometimes we're not lucky enough to have this piece as it was. So let's so this is going to be the right-handed belly flop. Oh, actually, we're still going to do the left-handed belly flop. Okay, so let's put this piece okay. Now let's put it back. Okay. We saw this piece where the blue was on this side and it did it. And if we did the left-handed belly flop on this piece, if blue is facing up and we did just like how we did the left-handed belly flop and it belly flopped in its correct spot and solved. Okay, that was one example. Here's another example where the blue piece, the blue side is going to be on this side. And here's the right-handed belly flop. So this belly flop, it's the reverse of the it's the reverse of the left-handed belly flop. When we do the reverse of that, this corner stays where it is, and these three pieces move. These three corner pieces move. This one, and this one, okay? And this corner piece moves to here, and this corner piece moves to here, and this corner piece moves in a diagonal direction and moves here. So the right-handed belly flop, these three corner pieces move in a counterclockwise direction. So this piece moves here, this piece moves here, and this piece moves to here. Okay, and we already know, the belly flop algorithm. This piece will jump over this piece, and it'll land on its belly. Okay, it's going to jump over this piece and move in its correct spot, and it's going to be solved. Because orange is going to end up facing up and blue is going to be facing in this direction, and this white stays where it is because it just jumps and just lands and does a belly flop in its correct spot. Okay, let's just do it. Okay, so here I'm going to call it out. All right, so it's R, U prime, L prime, U, R prime, U prime, L, U, and voila. Our piece, we just did a right-handed belly flop, and our piece did a right-handed belly flop into its correct position and solved. Beautiful. So that was 2 examples. Did you notice we used the left and right-handed belly flop? We pivoted around the keyhole. A combination of the keyhole method and alternating the left and right belly flop will help solve the cube. Think about it this way. You turned a belly flop into a solve.